G'day guys, welcome to what was formerly known as Social Media Blueprint, the SMB Alive and Kicking podcast. I've got an announcement to make. Home Invest and Social Media Blueprint have merged into one podcast now. So it's now branded and called the Home Invest School podcast. So that's what we've got now. The Facebook group's been rebranded, which I'll just show you in a minute, and also the YouTube channel. So it's all happening here. It's going off, and we can't keep up with it. It's just full steam ahead here. So just before I bring our special guest on, I'm just going to do a quick screen share and just show everybody the new branding and all the rest of it. So just give us a sec. My tech skills hopefully can. There we go. Okay. This is probably not good live stuff, but I'll just do this because I want to show everyone. Here we go. We'll go to share. There you go. Rebranding Home Invest School. You've got Nate up there holding up one of his achievements, which is great. There's a few across there. We've lost the picture of Graham up there, which we're not. I'm not too sure what's happened there. I think Nate's just got a bit ahead of himself there, but we'll let him have his moment in the sun. So that's the YouTube channel. So go there, subscribe, hit the bell icon, become part of the family, and now we'll go across to the Facebook group. And there you get Graham. Graham's in there. He's got a little cameo in the corner. Nate's got the big picture, as you know, you would expect, being the head honcho. But there you go, guys. So it's been rebranded. Join either one of those, then you can watch live and be part of what's going on. So I'll head back to StreamYard now, and we will stop sharing. And I will introduce our special guest, who is a former student of Social Media Blueprint. He's gone forward in leaps and bounds. He's got his own podcast, his own Facebook group, and he's killing it at the moment. He is gone headfirst into multifamily and multifamily syndication, and he's come on to share a couple of his last deals that he's just done. That's really exciting. So without any further ado, I will say aloha and welcome Michael Ditton.
Aloha, and thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure, Michael. I'm super pumped to have you in here. You were one of the up and about students when I was in the Social Media Blueprint course, and you're always positive and you're always saying aloha. Do you want to give the viewers and the listeners a bit of a backstory on the aloha? Because you're in Texas at the moment. So for a Texan to be walking around saying aloha, it's not the normal thing, is it? But there is a story behind it.
My wife and I, we spread and share aloha love around the world, and from Estonia to Texas but originally I've been going back and forth to Hawaii since I was 8 years old. My wife and I used to live there. We used to do retreats there. And I honestly believe probably in a previous life, I would, I might even be a native from Hawaii. So it's just in my blood. It's ingrained in me, and it always has been. And living aloha is what I try to achieve. And that's that nice, friendly, caring, loving life. And it's amazing how, contagious aloha can be, because like you opened up with aloha, and we've gone and we've done events where we start off the events with aloha and we talk about aloha, and people at the end of the event are saying aloha to us. So I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, when we've talked, it's like aloha and g'day, mate. How you going? So we've got a couple of different things going there.
Absolutely.
May need some subtitles if we bring Randy, Coach Randy, in with a few thick accents there. But yeah, so give us. We'll chuck it in reverse. We'll go back a bit. Give us a bit of a backstory on your initial days in investing in real estate, and then how that whole aloha story come into it, and then where you're at now. So yeah, just for the people that are listening, if you could just give us a bit of a backstory.
Sure. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but I invested at 20 years old, before I was even of legal age to drink. I bought my first house, but to me at that time, it was a safe place to have a family. I was a young married man with a child, and the investment was for the family. Outside of that, it was 1997 before I really got into investing. And I was in multifamily even back then. I loved it. I started off with a 4-unit complex. And given the tools, given the teaching, I mean, I'm very, very thankful today for the people that I was around at that time, because when life had dealt me a bunch of lemons after I got back from Desert Storm, Desert Shield, I was mentally, financially bankrupt, and it took me a while to kind of get back into the swing of things. When I did get there in 97, and I asked a buddy of mine who was in real estate, to help me find a house, he said, I remember to this day, he said, "So what do you want the house to do for you?" And I said, "Dude, I just want to buy a house. What are you talking about?" So he went through, do you want to live in it for the rest of your life? You want to live in it for a while, sell? You want to live in it, rent it? You want, you've got a VA loan, you can buy up to 4 units and take 70% of the 3 units you're not living in and use it to apply. And I said, hold it right there. And I said, you mean those people are going to pay my mortgage? And he said, yeah. And I said, sign me up. So I started off as a 4-unit complex in 1997. I got the bug. I ended up getting licensed. In fact, up until just this last year, I still held a California license, and I've had a couple other licenses, most recently Hawaii. And through the years, I continued to build my real estate portfolio. And I did it much smaller back then. But at that time, and you and I were talking about this just before the show, financial independence is different for everybody. And at that time, to build the portfolio I did, I was, my bills were paid, money in the bank. I wanted to go, I realized life was too short and I wanted to go enjoy it a little bit. I put a 5-year plan in motion. I had a couple other businesses and a nice handful of real estate and everything else. And I decided to sell everything. And in 2007, I had sold everything, businesses and real estate alike. And I jumped on my 45-foot sailboat. I headed out of the harbor, hung a left for destinations unknown, and sailed up and down primarily the Pacific coast of Mexico for the next 9 years. And, that was a life experience that you just, you don't get. So real estate afforded me that opportunity.
Wow. That's an amazing story. That 9 years, that's like a movie. That's like a movie. We might have to do a movie on your life when you get to the end of it, Michael. That's amazing. And like you just mentioned, we spoke briefly before we come on. This is what I say to people all the time. Even if you're not going to be the next Bill Gates or the next Donald Trump in real estate or in business, just by investing and doing some small things, you can do what you did. You can educate your kids at a great school. You can do as much or as little as you can do, but do something because your 9-year story is evidence of that. I mean, that afforded you 9 years of not having to work or do anything like that, and you basically fulfilled your dream, what you wanted to do. So that's an amazing story,
and I've created new dreams.
Well, that's right. So you had a fair bit of time to think. You thought, right, what's 2.0 Michael going to be like when I get back from this trip? So where are you at now? Like, I mean, you're into multifamily and you're starting to look at syndications and getting bigger projects. Do you want to go into that and just explain that to us, how that looks for the 2.0 Michael's like moving forward now?
Yeah, well, that's the nice thing about dreams and goals is you can actually, once you accomplish them, you can set new ones. I mean, there's no rule against how many you can have. So I have new dreams and new goals now, and I will be retired again in another 5 years. And real estate, again, is going to help, me get into that position. So when I got back into it with the help, again, of some great people, I got into, one program. In that program, I met somebody else. And through that network, I've met some other people. And this is how I got to know, the Mike Wolfs, Mike Fritz's, Nate's, all these guys that are just incredible people in this industry, not just because of the business they do, but the type of people they are. They're truly heart-centered people and type of people you want to be around. So when I first got back into it, my mindset was actually still back in 1997. Not that there was anything wrong with that, but I was thinking, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and there's nothing wrong with that. And my eyes were open when an opportunity come up to take a training and just see what you can do beyond that. Because everything I did before was Michael. All my funding was on Michael. Everything was on Michael. And now I've learned how you can actually find investors and partner with money investors and do these projects, and everybody wins. So this took me to that next level, and it actually did get us into a property that required, you call it syndication, which it is. There, you can do a syndication where you can just kind of pile in money and then go buy something, or you have a project and you just compile it for that project. So we ended up finding a 98 unit property a year ago last March, and we needed 1.74 million for the seed money to get into it. My partner and I, we dove in, and in 10 days we had raised that capital. We acquired that property. We went through the motions to do the things that we needed to stabilize that property with some renovations and things on a property to get it to the level where you can refinance it. So all of that has come along. After my holiday, I didn't really get back into it until October of 2020, and then I made my first acquisition. We made an offer in March. We didn't close until July of 2021. So here we are in 2022, 18 months later, and then I just closed yesterday on another property in Florida.
Yeah, was that the duplex? Was that the duplex?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and one of the things we learn in all these courses and classes and everything else, find the deals, find the money, networking, all this stuff. And it's really hard to convey the importance of this stuff. But I've been wanting to get into Florida, and I've got a couple different teams in Florida that I communicate and everything with. Well, one day I got an email from one of my teams in Florida, and it happened to be a duplex, and the price on it I thought was wrong. I really thought the price was wrong. So I started doing my homework on it. It was the least expensive duplex that I've seen up and down any coast or in Texas or anything else. And what's wrong? Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Nope, this is what it is. And I jumped on it. I mean, and jumping on it was important because there was also a lot of other people looking at it. But because of the relationships that I had with my investor partners, this one I wanted to do as a personal project. Well, I went to one of my investor partners and I said, hey, I want to do this as a personal project. I would normally go through the normal process and go find a bank and everything else. But if I do that on this property, somebody else is going to win it because it's such a good deal. I said, I'll make you a deal. You loan me money for the property. You loan me the money for the improvements. 12 months from the day we close escrow, I'm going to pay you your money and a really nice chunk of change for interest back. That way you win, I win, everybody wins. And these are things that we learn through these programs. These are things that we learn through networking and the people that we deal with. This is why I love these groups that we're part of.
Yeah, you made some amazing points there, and forget about the nuts and bolts of the deals, which is great. I mean, we all get pumped up about that. What I've noticed, what you've just said then, is the networking, the relationships that you've been building. So you've been networking, building relationships. Even that duplex, you've said, there's someone that you've had not a business relationship, but you've sort of had a relationship with, talking about all of these sort of things, and you've been involved with, and then all of a sudden, bang, it just comes into fruition. So almost like a friendship that you've developed here, and you've both got a common link, and then bang, it just comes together. So you've got networking, you've got building relationships, and I mean, one of your strengths, I'll ask you what you think your superpower is, but I would say it's probably networking and people. That's probably one of yours. Would that be close or correct?
I believe so. I'm a pretty easy to get along with guy. I love people, and I really, truly, in my heart, want what's best for people. And I think when you believe that, it kind of comes out. So, it's easy for me to. It's just easy for me to go out and do that stuff. I enjoy it. It makes me happy, and through that process, I try to make other people happy. Yeah. So yeah, it is a very big part of it. And one of my other ones is I love real estate. I have a passion for real estate investing. I love going and finding these deals. I really do. I mean, it excites me.
Yeah, it's like a scavenger hunt or an op shop run or something in it, or what American Pickers, where you go and find a bargain. It gives you a real rush and sensation. Now I've just come out of the Mike. You mentioned Mike Fritz. I come out of his 5-day challenge. He's done a bonus day for tomorrow, so I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm going to be that excited because Mike is a high energy guy, And like you said, Nate and Mike do stuff together, and that's so. This is that whole networking thing that you're mentioning is you start getting drawn in by this, and all of a sudden, like what you've just been talking about, was not even in my consciousness a couple of months ago, and all of a sudden, the more I'm learning about it, the more I'm going, why was I looking at single family? Why was I even looking at duplexes? Why I want to go bigger? So, the encouragement, to the Home Invest family is you hear people say a lot, but you've got to keep reinvesting in yourself and attracting or being attracted by people that are further down the track, because they've been there, they've done that, and they share their knowledge with you openly. And that's exactly what you were talking about there. And that's something that I just got out of the 5-day challenge, something out of working with Nate and his team. It's just amazing. So, you would encourage probably the people that are listening and watching at the moment, all the viewers, to do the same. And a lot of people say, how much is enough education? I don't think you can ever do enough education and self-education and keep improving and working on yourself. And I know that's something you're really big on, Michael. Do you want to just give us your idea on that, on improving yourself and getting better as you go?
Yeah. You're talking about Mike and Nate, both rock stars. I'll tell you, and both of them actually do this as well. But this is one of the things when I was working with Nate and Mike as well. But the things that come to mind are these guys not only teaching the knowledge that they have, and they're teaching it from the heart, but they're trying to keep everybody in what's going on today.
Yeah.
So they are adjusting with the times. Now, if you're not to that level, or that's not your thing, but you want to get to any level, you need to be around people that are.
Yep.
And, anytime there's any change in the industry, these guys are on top of it.
Yep.
And they're sharing
Absolutely.
it. They're not holding it, not sharing it. They're on top of it, and they're sharing it. And if you want to grow, you need to be around that. You really, truly need to be around that.
That is a gold nugget right there. And I showed you the Facebook group before. If anyone goes into the Facebook group that, that's in the Home Invest family, or someone that joins it, have a look how many videos. Nate's done about 8 videos in the last 2 weeks, all upon where the market is. He predicted all this stuff months and months ago. I've gone back and watched the old videos. He is all over it. He's saying, here's a line in the sand. This is where we're going. We're combining this and we're taking it forward. And strong leadership and just having their finger on the pulse, because they're doing masterminds with high level people that just know the heartbeat of what's going on in the industry. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I just, sometimes my brain blows up with just, you do some trainings and everything. It just, you just don't know what you don't know sometimes. So, I encourage people to go into the group, go into the YouTube channel, watch a lot of Nate's stuff, because he is so precise with what he does. He does so much research. And like I said, like a lot of these, like Mike and all them as well, they're on top of the mountain. They've achieved it, and they're trying to grab you and pull you up there as well. And that's just their giving nature, like what you said you've got. It's like attracts like, and that was why originally I went to Social Media Blueprint, because there was a culture in there that I'd seen nowhere else. Yep. And I've just, been lucky enough. I'm in a Facebook networking group where there's a really good culture like that too. So you've got to find those places, and when you get there, you just got to reinvest in yourself, and just keep. I know sometimes you just think you're running out of time, but you just got to keep doing it. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And
one more thing on Nate too is you point out the videos and all that stuff, but you also need to realize that he is putting content out there and explaining it so you understand it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just amazing. I didn't realize how much, how many lives he's done in the last 2 weeks, because there's really been a lot happening, and he's just saying, right, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. This is what we're seeing. And like I said, he's drawn a line in the sand. Everything's, with the new brand has been merged quickly, and it's like, right, we're heading this direction. So get in and get schooled, as it says, get schooled, yep. School yourself, and be around people. And like I said, the people that are within these organizations, we can attest for, great people. They're just service orientated. It's amazing. So the other thing I just wanted to quickly touch on was you've got into a bit of podcasting lately. So you've been hosting, I've been watching a few of your podcasts, and that's out of your Facebook group. And that's something that's obviously been effective for you. It's probably broadened your reach. How do you find that those two mediums are working for you in the current market? Have they been positive for you, like producing not just networking and relationships, but also leads?
Yeah, they actually work too good.
Yeah. you got to tone them down a little bit.
Yeah, I absolutely love doing podcasts and interviewing people. I mean, that's just something I really enjoy doing. And I have a team that helps me behind the scenes put everything together so that we can put out the quality podcasts that we do. I would do more of those if I had the time to do it. It's just, maybe it's something I'll have a chance to do more when I reach that 5-year mark and I can dial myself down a little bit more. But to answer your question, when I'm really pumping the social media, the Facebook aspect of it, I truly have to take my foot off the gas pedal way more than I want to, but it's only because when you're doing it consistently, you're doing it correct, it really produces. And it produces so much that, I don't want to let anything fall through the cracks. I'm kind of one of those really, analytical, when it comes to logistics and everything else. So I back off a little bit, take care of everything, and then give it a little bit more gas again. So they absolutely work. Like I said, almost sometimes a little bit too good. But the way that I've learned, that I've been taught Social Media Blueprint, this is how I learned how to do this, was through Social Media Blueprint. And it's very, very effective, very, very useful, very, very successful. The podcast hasn't produced the same level of leads as the Facebook has, but that's okay. I mean, it's kind of, they go hand in hand with each other. And to me, it's, to me, I don't know the analogy I would use. It'd be like the Facebook is the main course, and the podcast for me is like the dessert. You love it just as much, but the main course is what I really, I dig into. So I love the podcast though.
Yeah, and the podcast, I reckon you'd be similar to me, Michael. Is you get to bring people back to your Facebook group and back to your community, people that a lot of us can't get access to. You get them to bring them back and share that content with your people, like on a more personal level, so that they actually and these people then tell their stories. Where some of them had some horrendous stories and had to start again, and then people who are starting off or are struggling can listen to that story. It's almost like a Rocky Balboa story, where it's a rise up and people go, oh, I can do it now. So it's motivating and inspires the people within your networks. And I think it's amazing. And I just think it's taking off. It's huge now because it's bringing back to grassroots level where people need these experienced leaders who are good people to come back, and it's breaking down the barriers now. So I think it's amazing. I love it. And from a personal level for us, we get to talk to people that we probably wouldn't otherwise get to talk to. We get to get them as guests on the show and get to talk to them and get to talk before and after the podcast. So it's amazing. So yeah, that's something that we learned at Social Media Blueprint. And that's something, I mean, I don't know about you, but I dragged my feet. I was supposed to start a Facebook group as part of my homework. And I think I was near the end. I think it was after Dr. Phil had given me a clip in the ear, Coach Randy. And then I thought, I better, Kate and Karma kept saying, you've got to get your, and it was the best thing I ever did. And that led to a Facebook networking group, which I've got to actually invite you to. I don't know if you've got enough time, but it's brilliant. And then that leads to more and more relationships that you build in the industry. And yeah, I think, it's not like a lot of people starting off going, I'm not going to do a podcast, but we probably said the same thing at the, early days. It's just a natural evolution of hanging around with people at that level. So I couldn't agree more. And so I was going to ask you the question, like, what was your Social Media Blueprint experience? But I think people can get that was. Well,
let me share one more with you. Last October, there was a Social Media Blueprint event, and I participated in it. I think it was a 3-day event, and Nate and his team literally sat you down and had you go through the motions right then and there. Not take notes and go home and try it, but physically do it now and take the time you need to do it. I walked away from that event with one lead, which turned into an opportunity with 33 units.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just for that one thing, which you would have got more out of the 3. Was that the live workshop was it in Florida?
That was the live one in Florida. Yeah.
I actually I come on and just did a little brief thing, and I was able to stay in virtual, and I watched that, and I was just like, oh man, I wish I could be there.
Yeah.
But I noticed that it was amazing. Like you said, Nate made everyone go out and do a video and put it straight in their Facebook group. A lot of people, even I think Kate, who hasn't done a lot of that stuff in a Facebook group, she went out and did it as an example, and then other people were doing it. So that is the interaction that you know, I know a lot of people do that. They have boot camps, and they make you get on the phone, or they make you post live, or do a Facebook live or a podcast or something to put you out of your comfort zone. Because once you've gone out of that comfort zone, it becomes normal, and then you go to the next level and the next level, and that's what you're talking about with constantly being in these challenges and these groups. A lot of people go, you know, they look at it negatively, but I swear by it, and you swear by it, and most of the people I know that have come through these programs go, you've just got to keep reinvesting. You've got to level up all the time. You've got to keep going up to the next level. So,
and they're not just teaching academically. They're actually they're doing it, and they're teaching what they're doing, and they're actually teaching you not just the successes, but they teach you the failures that they figured out, so that you don't have to do them yourself.
Yeah. And I noticed, like we talked about Mike Fritz before, just did his 5 day and talk about energy. I want to get Mike on here for a podcast. What high energy, and self-confessed had ADHD as a kid, and he's turned that into almost a brand. He's just got that energy, and he's just out there, and he's changing people's lives, doing the same sort of thing. Now you're doing are you doing a bit of coaching for him now? Are you sort of like a support person within his network now? So you've sort of rised up in the ranks there as well.
Yeah, I'm there for support and do everything that I can on these events like you were just talking about. I am one of his coaches with his elite team. So I'm part of the multifamily elite coaching program. But the 5 day challenge and that I'm there, and if he needs anything, I'm there to help. That's just me help. I love Mike. Mike's a good buddy of mine. He's like a brother to me.
Yeah, very genuine. I'll just stop for a second. I'll just yell out to anyone that's watching, or chuck some questions. You want to ask Michael any questions, or myself any questions, chuck them in the chat, and we'll run over them. I mean, I know you're big on this. I'm going to ask you the questions, but mindset. You're big on mindset. You've always been a self-development sort of person, haven't you? And that goes along with, we won't go too far into it, but obviously you've got a bit of a spirituality as well, because you've had that time off, and it's just, with the aloha and everything, you've got it, that as a part of itself. So mindset, have you always from the start worked on mindset? Was that, like you said, you come back from, I think you said Desert Storm, was that something that you said, right, I've got to get my mind right, I've got to constantly work on my mindset and move forward?
Well, I've been very blessed. It's come very natural to me. I mean, I was an entrepreneur at the age of 8. I mean, that was just who I was. When I came back from the Persian Gulf War, what had happened was, we were activated for that war. And during that time, I ended up divorced, returning home. I returned home to no job. I returned home to no job opportunities. I ended up bankrupt. I lost everything. And when I went to ask for help from, unemployment, I was actually 7-year service member coming back from a war. I was actually denied. So I had lost all hope at that point in time. You talk about kicking a dog when he's down. I mean, I was down. I wasn't at the bottom of the barrel. I was actually underneath it. And I really didn't understand, why I was here, what I was supposed to be doing, anything else. And for me, that was totally different than who I am. And I will tell you, what saved my life was my mindset. And I remembered that prior to that, I had dreams and goals. And that's what kept me fired up and kept me going. And I had come to a point in life where I didn't think I was worthy of them. I didn't think they were capable with everything that was going on, which is real easy to do when you're down in the dumps. But by changing my mindset and realizing that those things are something to work towards, to inspire you, to keep you going, that mindset got me out of that rut. And it took me 92 to 95. It took me 3 years to climb out of that rut. But man, when I came out, I took off like a rocket. So mindset is very, very important. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is one of my favorite sayings. It's an Anthony Robbins one, is, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of a part of that story is that life happened to you, but then you turned it around and made it happen for you. And that's projected you to where you are today. So, and it's just made you stronger and stronger. So thanks for sharing that, Michael, because that's the sort of stuff that people need to hear. They need to hear that it's not all rainbows and unicorns. Every person's got a story. And most of the people that you're going to be listening to, the Nates, and all, they've had hard times in their life. You've
Absolutely.
had hard, and you've just got to keep working and keep working. So, that's awesome for the Home Invest family to hear. Sometimes, you hit rock bottom and you've just got to build yourself up. And that, real estate in itself it's simple, but it's not easy. So you've got to have some thick skin and some character. And even that can be a test for you. That can test all your
guaranteed.
Press all your buttons and test your erroneous zones and all that. So, your advice obviously is just to keep pushing through, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's another great story. I'm glad you shared that with us, because people need, we're coming into economically tough times around the world, like they're talking recessions and all this sort of stuff. But, I've been through a recession when I was a younger guy, and we made it through. We got through, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So don't listen too much to what the naysayers and the media and that are saying. Get around people that are saying, well, even in this circumstance, we're going to be all right. We're going to find the promised land, and we're going to go after what we want to go after. So that's that's
well, you can either, you can be the problem or you can be the problem solver.
Yeah.
And the problem solvers are the ones that have the mindset to, we've got some challenges now, and I'll be honest with you, from the beginning of my career to now, I've gone through many of them, and I always find the twist. Just actually only about a year ago, they were talking about, and I know that this wouldn't apply to a lot of our foreign investors coming into the States, but it does apply to my investors that I work with here in the States. They were talking about doing away with the 1031 exchange. The 1031 exchange is deferred taxes that you can move from one to the other. You can't touch it, but you can defer it and move it. And they were talking about doing it. And, everybody was like, oh, how can I do that? This and whining and everything else. Instead of whining, what I did is I went out and I actually found an avenue that might work should that happen.
Yep.
So, and it didn't happen. So now I actually have two avenues I can go instead of one. And because that happened, it made me go look for the other, which I might not have done in the first place. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly right. And I found out, I know a guy that's found a brilliant solution to that as well. And I think Nate and his team have found one. So there's options out there. So,
sure.
Once again, it's just finding an option that you don't know exists, and they're out there. So no, that's called that's just called resourcefulness. That's sometimes you haven't got the resources, but if you've got the resourcefulness, things will show up. And that's exactly right. So I just want to finish off, Michael, like, if someone's listening now and they're going, wow, I can see the transition that Michael's made. He's into the multifamily space now. He's into, apartment blocks and all that sort of stuff. What advice would you give him? What would you give him? More practical advice? Would you give him more mindset advice? What would you say for him to go on a journey now? How would they start?
Well, pick a lane, learn it, do it as best as you can. And that's going to be, learning. It's going to be the people you surround yourself with, and, persistence, never giving up. It's when you get to a point where you come into a challenge you can't deal with, when you get into groups and deal with people like we deal with, there's typically the resource that you said, talking to these groups, these people, the ones that have been there, done that, finding a way to get through that. So if you want to go multifamily, whether it's 5 units or 50 units or 500 units, pick a lane, learn it, go out there and start to work it, do it. If you find that you need more education, get it. If you find that you can't get the answers on your own, look to other people that can help you get those answers. So, just, it's all about, if that's what you want, just take the action steps to make it happen.
Yeah. So the desire's got to be there, doesn't it? You've got to have that
sure.
unshakable desire. I mean, I know people. I know I can get. I mean, I've got it in my Facebook group. It's not my course, but a free wholesaling course to get to get started. And the guys that do this are passionate about people that are broke being able to start off and get to the next level.
Sure.
So there's those resources. I just come across some resources through a guy that I've just recently interviewed in his Facebook group. Unbelievable free resource. If you've got the resourcefulness, you could get set up for free. If you're dead broke, you could get set up for free. And then once you start earning some money, then you can invest and get to the next level. And it's just out there. You've just got to say, right, every spare minute you got, how am I going to find this information, that what do I want to achieve, and how am I going to find the information to get me there, and the people and the people. So yeah, no, that's great advice. And once again, this platform here, the Home Invest platform, the school platform, now there's 9,000 people in the Facebook group. Go in there and network, go to the YouTube, get as much information. It's all free. And people joke about the YouTube University, but if you're finding specific stuff, you can go in there. If you want to find multifamily, you can find people like Mike Fritz and their YouTube channel, and you can get free information until you can afford to maybe, you can go to a free 5-day challenge to get to know him. All this sort of stuff. Same with Nate and all these people. They're very accessible with free content. So it's just a matter of reaching out and getting started, I guess.
Yeah, and you don't need to have money to buy real estate. You need to know people that do, and you need to have those relationships, and you need to be able to how to present, your, what you're presenting to them. So, I bought that duplex, and none of that was out of my own pocket. The stuff that I've about in the past, it's, you can buy real estate without any money. You have to know people that have it, and you have to, work with them and make sure that everybody comes out win-win-win. But having those investors that don't have the time to do what you're doing, but have the resources, and you might not have the resources, but you have the time. So it's a great relationship.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up now. Thank you for coming on and just sharing all those gold nuggets with us. How do people reach out to you? If there's someone out there that goes, look, I'd like to reach out to Michael, would it be through your Facebook group, your personal profile? How do you like people to reach out to you and connect with you?
Yeah, they can reach me through my Facebook group, or just they're welcome to email me. And it's just my name, Michael Ditton @yahoo.com, or in Facebook, it's Michael Ditton. And you'll notice right now it's a picture of me and my wife because we just celebrated our anniversary. So I got the picture.
Yeah, I saw that.
Thank you. The profile is the two of us, but normally I'm pretty distinctable. I have the long hair, and some of the other Michaels are bald and look,
Yeah, that's right. And you got the cool shirts. I think that could be the new Home Invest shirts. I'm going to talk to Nate about that. Blue and yellow with a bit of aloha. But no, that's awesome. So people, and the name of the Facebook group, give us the name of the Facebook group.
They can either go to my personal Michael Ditton, they can go to Helios Capital Investments. And then of course the podcast is called Deal or No Deal Multifamily Real Estate Investing. So you have an opportunity to hit any of them. Yeah.
Multiple touch points where you can get onto Michael. That's what I'm saying. If you're just starting off, you can reach out, jump in the free Facebook group, get started, I'm sure Michael would answer any questions that you post in there. So that's the way that you start. And that you've got a great resource right there, a multifamily person and someone that's now learning how to buy big real estate without his own money. So there you go. Great resource. Yeah. All right. Excellent. I've loved it, Michael. We will have to catch up and down the track and have a bit more of a chat. But thank you for sharing that with the now new Home Invest School podcast. That's a brilliant way to start. I'm going to have Nate. I'm going to try and get Nate off the yacht or wherever he is and get him in on Tuesday. We're going back to Tuesdays and Fridays. So I'm going to try and get Nate in Tuesday to really open it up and get under the bonnet and tinker around and show everyone what's going on moving forward. So I'm excited about that. But this has been great to have you on the Friday where everyone's driving home and can listen to this, because there's so much information there. And I appreciate your time, and I know you're out there crushing it. You're busy, so I'll let you go. But
Thank you.
I'll just say one thing. I'll let you say goodbye, Michael, and I'll say one thing just to wrap up. I'll let you say. Have you froze?
Okay.
Oh no, I thought you froze. I thought you froze there for a minute. I was waiting for you to.
No, I didn't know if you were gonna wrap. So I just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for all the listeners. Because without you, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. And it's truly there for your taking. So and you have the resources and people to help you get there. So best wishes.
Yeah, good on you. All right. Well, what I was going to say is this is our first sign off under the new brand, because you've been listening to Michael Ditton in the Home Invest podcast. You have been schooled. All right. Well done. All right. Thanks, Michael, and everyone have a great weekend. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hopefully with the head honcho, Nate. And until then, have a great weekend. Stay safe, and thanks for joining in, guys.